Dubnik and Donato return to Minnesota, and unfortunately, their new team ends up on the losing side. We'll talk about that, maybe some CUDA talk, and a way to get the wraparound going big time. Let's do this right now on Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is Friday nights, January 22nd, 2021. The San Jose Sharks lose to the Minnesota Wild 4-1. We're here to break it down for you, and welcome to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame. We do this after every game, so of course, Teal together and interact with us, chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app. And of course, follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel, SoundCloud, Reddit, and of course, Discord. And find everything at tealtownusa.com. And we already see somebody is really excited to have Ian Reed back with you, but also Satan. Apparently Satan is excited for you. Satan is here for Ian Reed. So, Ian, you have a following apparently, but first off, it's been a while. How you been? How's everybody up there?
So far so good. I mean, it's fine. You know, we're all locked down and good times.
So your lockdown is like a pretty tight lockdown. It's not like where I hate to say California is just like we don't care.
It's all. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't really want to get too deep into this. It is what it is.
Gotcha. Well,
like it's kind of like right now we have a stay-at-home order, but it's kind of toothless. But like, I don't know. I mean, right now my work's completely curbside, so makes my life easier. But yeah, it is what it is.
Gotcha. Well, I hope you and the family are doing all right. Well
Yeah, we're
wishes.
good.
Well wishes to you all. We'll get to some of your comments in the chat right now before we get on the recap of this game. Raphael Snip, we can't score. Where have I seen this movie before? Let's say the first 29 years. Laurel, good to see you, my friend. I still had hopes for this year, but then we lost to the Wild. Hey, Minnesota's been on a good run to begin this season, so, proud Hederick. Burns played like crap tonight. Holy Hannah. I don't know how holy Hannah is, but, let's see. Oh, Davalos. Oh, boy. We aren't even playing Vancouver. So, but good to see you, bud. Yeah. It's just like a lot of people are feeling down after this one, Ian.
I mean, I don't blame them. It's very. I never thought that I would come on here and be like, the Sharks, the better team won tonight, and then that better team is the Minnesota Wild. I can understand the frustration a little bit, but I mean, Minnesota really was the better team tonight. I thought the Sharks, especially in the second period. I mean, the third period they had their moments because they had to turn on the juice a little bit with the score being down, and they had trying to open up things a little bit. But Minnesota's forecheck was just relentless tonight, and the Sharks, for the most part, didn't have an answer for it. I thought that the top two lines were not very good tonight. I mean, that fourth line was really good. It seemed like no matter who they slotted in that fourth line, it was really good. When they had, we had Marlowe, Nieto, and Sorensen was really the drink stirrer on that line, which was nice to see.
Right.
A little bit there. But even when they substituted Nieto for Nason, I thought that was a really good line too. I thought they generated some chances, but the top two lines weren't very good, especially the second line. I didn't really like the second line tonight. The third line had its moments too.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Gambrell had a surprisingly good game. Gambrell's a guy I've been pretty down on, but I thought he had a pretty good game tonight. But yeah, it wasn't there from the top two lines, and it wasn't their best effort. I don't think, but I think you do have to give credit to the Wild, because again, their forecheck was relentless, and that was a big factor. The Sharks just did not have an answer for it, and that's going to be, especially in the second period. And I don't want to get too much into it because I know we got to like kind of break down the game phase
Right.
by phase, but so I'm going to stop before I just lead the show all over the
No,
place.
you're good. You're good. But yeah, let's get to some of the comments already coming out of the Sharks dressing room. Bugner saying we played well enough to win, but we need more offense. There's too much hesitation. Timo Meyer saying we have to keep more simple. Net presence is important. We moved the puck well, but we weren't really dangerous.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like I think that is a good accurate thing because there
Mhm.
was times where the Sharks did have some sustained pressure, but they did nothing with it. That the power play, I think it was in the third period, start the third period maybe, or maybe it was the end of the second. I think it was the Greenway double minor. Like the
Yeah.
Sharks controlled it, but there was nothing going on at all.
Yeah, it seemed like they were off to. They're going to get a chance to get off to a good start. I mean, Benino gets a penalty like 12 seconds into the game, and it's like, okay, come on, boys, let's get this one power play going. And it's like you were waiting for them to do something, and it was kind of a little lackadaisical, but just because you saw these drop passes, they were trying to get all fancy and such with everything, and it just seems like couldn't get it
Yeah.
going, and that's where I think the frustration you can kind of see it from some of the quotes coming out of the dressing room tonight, and I think with fellow Sharks fans as to see why this isn't working out too well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a conversation I was in on Twitter about that power play actually, and I think part of the problem is like there's more people on the ice than Carlson and Burns, but you would never know it because no one else got the puck. And you want to see like if Burns is gonna be the guy, he needs to take quick shots, cause a rebound, and then hopefully you can pressure something down low, scoop up some garbage or whatever. I I didn't like the fact that like it was just Carlson and Burns passing, and I felt that Burns had the puck too long. Like he just wasn't doing anything with the puck quick enough when he finally had it. And you don't always want to do like you don't always want to just get rid of the puck. Like I think
Right.
Nieto's goal is a perfect example of sometimes you have to hold on to the puck and make your play. If
Mm-hmm.
Nieto just wings that the second he gets it, that's not a goal. So there is times where you do want to see the puck move a little bit quicker than not. But I don't know on that power play. It was frustrating because it's like you said, they sustained possession, but they did nothing with it.
Right. And just fell apart some places. I mean, there was one. I know we're kind of getting all over the place, but the one setup that EK65 had set up was trying to get to an open point. Then it clears out and then becomes a 2-on-1 the other way for Minnesota. So, kind of doing something a little different, folks. So let's before we recap this game here. So I know a lot of you, especially Laurel, are do enjoy the wraparound portion of our program that we've done in the past. We're doing things a little bit different. So we're at 20 people watching now. If we can get to 25 likes before the end of the show, we will do I almost caught myself there. Do a wraparound.
Ooh.
If we get 25 likes and a couple of good donations, and AJ's going to keep an eye on it with Venmo. Of course, you can always Venmo us at Teal Town USA for um, supporting the show. We appreciate that immensely. It goes to help us improve everything that we got going on here. We'll be able to do that too. Now, if it's a large donation, I actually have to call out what Laurel likes to call it. So you guys and gals know exactly what to do now. So with that, let's talk about this hockey game. We kind of talked about it a little bit already, but Benino takes a penalty early, nothing happens. Then of course Minnesota comes back. Eriksson Ek gets. I thought this was a weak goal on Dubnik. Kind of tips in and it goes through the 5 hole to make it 1-0. I just like there's something that just to kind of say meh. It was meh.
Yeah, it was a soft goal. There's no two ways around it. I think that yeah, there was a tip, but like if Dubnik just has to hold his ground and keep his 5 hole closed for 3 more seconds, and that
Right.
bounces away, right? Um, it- I don't know if he just lost track of it, or I'm not sure what happened there, but I didn't like that goal. I thought it was a soft goal. I didn't think Dubnik played a bad game tonight, but I didn't like that goal.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. It's like disappointing uh, to see because it's just like, oh, close your legs, Doobie. Come on. But I did like the response back with
Yeah.
Long Beach native Matt Nieto. Um, kind of a sneaky shot that stayed on the ice to go left side low post and in to tie it up at one. But you kind of mentioned it already. Third and fourth lines, I think, were the better lines tonight in this game.
Yeah, this line was great. For the most, like, this was one of the few lines that had sustained pressure on a semi-regular basis, which is good. I mean, it's your fourth line, so anything you get out of it's going to be great. But I thought also, like, really nice move by Carlson to get Nieto the puck.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's like it's one of those things where sometimes you want to get rid of the puck right away, but Nieto takes that extra second, and that's the difference between a goal and a save in this situation.
Yeah.
I thought it was great poise by him to take his time and put it in proper. Just a really good game by this line. In general, I mean, like we said, the bottom six was the better of the forwards tonight, but like this Nieto, Sorensen, I thought Sorensen had a hell of a game. Like if I had to like pick like who had the best game, like Sorensen would be high up there on my list. I thought he was very drink stirry. Like yeah, I really like this line. I really like this play. Again,
Mm-hmm.
really nice pass by Carlson to get the puck over to Nieto, and Nieto, having the patience to do it right, and it pays off. And I thought, all right, it's not not the greatest game the Sharks have played, but we're in it. It's going to be okay. And ugh.
Yeah, no, you thinking 1-1. They're playing fairly well through the first 20 minutes. Let's talk about that hit that Eric Carlson took about midway through the first period. Kind of livened him up. It got his mouth bloodied up a bit. We don't know how if he lost any teeth or chiclets in there, but he got up and he was really going after Kaprizov. But Eriksson Ek was the person who kind of hit him, and then Kaprizov kind of had his hand up high, which of course the butt end might have been involved there as well. What did you think of it? And should have been a penalty, or just a good hockey hit that could have been? I don't
I
know.
think that could have been. I think it was boarding, and if it was called, then that's not a goal. But I mean, it was probably boarding, but I'm not like super like the Sharks have bigger problems than that this
Right.
game, so I don't really want to like. It could have been a boarding call. I thought it was a pretty clear boarding call, but at the same time, it's hockey.
Yeah, there was that one, and then right before Parisi scores, that's how he pronounces it right now this week, right? Parisi, not Parise. I mean, I get confused by it. But right before the game winning goal by Parisi, um, you know, I saw Kaprizov take a shot, and to me looked like a boarding call that was missed again as Kaprizov throws Donato into the boards, and the referee looked kind of right up to it. I don't know if you caught that one,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
or am I being nitpicky?
no, I don't think so. I mean, it's just it is what it is. Like, yeah, there's a couple calls. I mean, there's a couple calls that went on the Sharks in the first that I thought were pretty soft. But I mean, uh, I don't know. I just don't want to like make it sound like officiating was the story of this game because it really wasn't.
No, no, it wasn't. There are a bunch of other issues that the Sharks had tonight. Of course, that eventually led to the game-winning goal by Zach Parise. That's a tough one for Dubnik, I thought, to make it 2-1. then you get a little bit of kerfuffle with Ferraro and Greenway, and
That
but
was just a mugging. That was a straight up mugging.
it's like
There's no kerfuffle. It's just a mugging.
why I yada, and they sit down. Sharks don't do anything on that power play either. But
I mean, no, that power play, that was the one like we were talking about earlier, where it's like they had possession and then but it didn't look nearly as dangerous as it probably should have looked, considering how the Sharks were moving the puck around with these.
Yeah, and definitely moving around. They definitely were getting chances, but just nothing going in. We should mention by the second period, uh, Minnesota goes to their backup, which of course we all know that's the nightmare for the Sharks. They go to Kakinen after Cam Talbot gets injured late in the first period. But like I was saying before we went on, the second period was kind of the change of everything. Minnesota took this game over, and I don't know about the second periods, but it's kind of like when you're playing NHL. Well, for me, I would say NHL '94. You're going up against a friend who's next to you, and you're so used to going like from the bottom of the screen to the top the whole time, and then your friend comes over, and then all of a sudden you don't understand. You got to switch periods.
Yeah, you have to go down.
You have to go back downward. That's what it seems like for the Sharks. It's like we don't know how to play hockey in the second period.
Yeah, I mean that's when Minnesota really established their forecheck, and that was, I mean, that if you want the story of the game, that's the story of the game. The Minnesota forecheck was relentless this game. And it really, the Sharks, they had a couple chances, but really they just got buried in their own zone, and they couldn't get out. And if they did get out, it was quickly, it was like a pass that was kind of, their breakouts weren't very good, so it'd be a pass that would just get, turned around back at their blue line and back into the Shark zone it went. Wash, rinse, repeat for basically the whole period. Yeah. I mean, the Wild's forecheck was relentless, which is unfortunate because, I was hoping that with the Wild's backup goalie coming in, you kind of want to get some pucks on him early to see, but he wasn't very busy in that second period.
And the funny thing is that Kakinen hadn't played since March 22nd, and I think he got injured when he was a member of the Iowa Wild playing in San Jose against the Barracuda. It's one of those weird things that well, maybe not March 22nd because I think everything was locked down by then, but it might be March 2nd. It's just one of those weird things where it's just like, come on, guys, let's get this better. We also saw that Kaprizov went to go. I call it the hurdle because I think he kind of reintroduced it to everybody. But Kaprizov tries to go all hurdle on Devan Dubnyk. Dubnyk apparently got a piece of it because in postgame he says, "I can't believe he made that move. I just thank God I got a piece of it because it's a nightmare when somebody makes a move. And then somebody puts in back of the net."
Oh yeah, that'd be like on the highlight reels for the rest of the year. Like that would be like that. To be a goal of the year candidate when you score that. I that kid's legit. Like Minnesota's like, for a team that's usually like boring as hell to watch, like that, what a great player to have in that market. Because I think that team has never really been an overly exciting team to watch, but I mean that kid's legit, and I think he's going to be fantastic.
The potential to be what Marian Gaborik was supposed to be when the Wild came into the league.
Yeah,
and definitely has the flashy moves for it.
Yeah, I thought he played a hell of a game tonight. Like, I don't know, like it's good. It's good for that market. I think that market needs a dynamic player, and I think that he's gonna do really well there. And really, other than that, like, because again, this game, like, it was just forecheck. It was just hockey 101. Like that's the way the Wild play. Like it was just a straight up hockey 101 game. It wasn't anything super flashy other than that move that got them the win.
Right. And nothing fancy. They oh boy. We'll get to that one comment in a sec. But the other thing too is that the they had a bunch of chances and they looked good. I thought they had some really good chances, in the third period, especially late in the third period. I thought they had it. But then Minnesota would add a couple empty netters to finish this game out. Uh, I outside that weak goal early on, I thought Dubnik had a good night tonight.
Yeah, I mean the second goal, you want to see him control that rebound a little bit better, but like Zach Parise could have brewed a pot of coffee and still put that puck in the net with how much time he had in front of the goal. So it's not it's not only on Dubnik. You would want to see him handle that rebound a little bit better. But all in all, I thought Dubnik had a good game. I thought Jones had a good game last game.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see, if they're just going to keep alternating back and forth going forward. Because I thought both goalies, like last couple of games, I thought the goalies were fine.
Yeah. No, the last two, they've been good. They need to be better, though. I think this whole team needs to be better. They need to find that right mix. I'm not going to get all Ron Wilson bake a cake analogy here, but they find that right mix of defense and offense, because I thought they played fairly well defensively tonight. There may have been breakdown here and there, but I didn't think it was awful. But Dubnik, 25 saves on 27 chances, 926 save percentage. I thought very credible. Defensively, I'm not going to try to read the time on ice tonight, but I find it interesting that Radim Shimmick only had 1130, and Marc-Edouard Vlasic only had 1837. You see Ferraro at 21 minutes, and of course Carlson and Burns at 28.
How much power play time though? Because I think like that probably plays a factor there.
Yeah,
I think Burns and Carlson had to have looked a ton of minutes tonight.
Yeah, Carlson had nearly 6 minutes. Burns had a little over 5.
Yeah,
so that'll do that for you big time there. They all pretty much were evenly split with the shorthanded. So, it's tough. Face-off wise, they were a lot better tonight. I mean, we talked about a few games ago how putrid they were. At one point during one of the Arizona games, they had like 21%. They 58-42. So they're getting better.
Yeah, I like Noah Gregor, man, but he gets destroyed in the dot.
Yeah.
And I thought Gambrell handled himself well in that spot. He wasn't great. He was below 50, but it's better than nothing, I guess. I don't know.
You hate to have small victories and losses because we all know the capability of this team, but tough -3s, and I can just hear Chris JWS, about to have me go off on plus minus, but Evander Kane, one shot on goal -3.
Like puck bounces goes the other way. I mean, they're your empty nets. So you're still technically, it's not a power play, so you still rack up a minus on those goals when there's no goalie in the net. I think it looks a lot worse that makes it look a lot worse than it was when you get a couple garbage time goals at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And then, you have some minuses rack up because of it. It is what it is. I don't know. Like, that's not a defense of some of the players that you're looking at. I don't think it's like a complete defense of them, but it has to be said. Like, you get a couple of garbage time goals at the end of the thing and lifts your minuses up. It makes it look a lot worse than it was.
Sure. No, I mean, you look at Evander Kane, you'd say no points, -3, one shot on goal, no hits. I mean, thankfully he stayed out of the penalty box. He finally listened to Zach after all these times. Ryan Donato, though, no points, -3, had 5 shots on goal. To me, I noticed
he had some dangerous chances. Like, you'd like to see him bury it, but I thought, Ryan Donato was looking like he was. I thought he played all right.
Yeah.
You'd like to, obviously you need to bury something, but I don't fault his effort tonight. I thought the effort was definitely there.
No, and definitely getting a lot more comments in the chat. And Ricky Bartonslager, hope I said that right. A couple of comments from Ricky. Donato had a monster game. I think he earned his way in onto that Couture line. I think he looked pretty good, and definitely trying to trying to prove your former team's management wrong.
For sure.
Yeah,
And he's also, and I think he's also trying to prove he wanted to be a top six guy, and he's trying to prove that he's a top six guy.
right,
So, kudos to him. I don't know. I mean, look at the way the blinds get blendered up. I mean, he'll be there eventually, right?
right. It's just a matter of time, you know.
Although, you know what? I will say this. I will say this. Like for the usual complaints about the blender, they had to do something because there was nothing after that second period. You had to shift things around. Like there's times to use the blender and there's times when the blender is just lazy. Coach, I'm doing something. I kind of okay the blender this time around
Oh,
because
totally.
you had to try and find something because that forecheck was just killing the Sharks and they
No,
had to find a way out of it, and they didn't really find a way out of it in the third period, but you got to give them credit for trying something.
no.
You couldn't just keep going the status quo. It wasn't working. Those lines were getting hammered.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you had to change something up. Just try to see if something will get a spark going there. But it was too little, too late. Ricky had also mentioned, you know, Meyer is invisible at best. He's had a couple of plays where he's clearly is doing poorly. Uh,
Timo Meyer and Kevin LeBanc this game, I felt they just tried to do sometimes like you can try to do too much. Like I don't know. I mean, near the end, I thought Timo driving to the net. That's the kind of thing you want to see a kid with his body do, right?
right.
Drive to the net with the puck. Um, Kevin LeBanc, on the other hand, like I think they both try to do too much sometimes, though, and they both try to look for plays that aren't there. And I think when you're getting killed by a forecheck like that, I think it's a very frustrating thing to get just completely hammered by another team's forecheck. I think it makes you do frustrating things. It makes you look for plays that aren't there. Kevin LeBanc tonight, I thought, looked for passes that just weren't there. And I think Kevin LeBanc, I think one of his skills that he's actually really sneaky good at is that he's a pretty decent passer. But some of the passes he tried to make tonight, like Joe Thornton's not making those passes. Don't what are you doing? Um, yeah, I think both guys, I feel they just tried to do too much with nothing. And sometimes, sometimes the play is just not there.
Right.
And when you try to force a play that's not there, you're just going to turn it over. It's going to go back the other way.
There was even you talk about LeBanc and Meyer, EK65, was definitely trying to find an opening. I remember, I think it was in the third period when they were on the power play or late in the power play. He was trying to set it back up to, I think either Vlasic or Ferraro,
Mm-hmm.
and he had just missed the angle, and it led to a 2-on-1 that way. So I think the guys are trying a little too hard, and they just need to simplify their game, especially on the road.
Some of them, well, I mean, all their games are on the road. Let's be honest.
You're right.
Yeah, no, I think there's something to that. I also think though at the end of both period, like at the end of every period, I thought the puck was bouncing a lot too, and that didn't help anything. Like I thought, especially the end of the second and third, I thought that puck was really bouncing around.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder. Uh, we heard about the recall on the pucks earlier in the
Right.
week. Maybe they're still using the old batch. Who knows?
Pitching
AJ,
with the ice.
yeah, AJ bringing up a good stat. Kane has 0 PIMs in the first game of back-to-backs. All of his PIMs have come in the second game so far. That's interesting, just to see how that.
I
You
don't.
know,
Is it though? Because that's going to be the interesting storyline of this season, right? With all these games and with the way that the schedule is, like everyone's playing back to back games, so you're going to get. I'm not surprised that a guy might get under his skin in game one and he goes and tries to do something about a game two, right? Like you're going to see a lot of these. You're going to see a lot of. I think you're going to see a lot of this in a lot of games where that second or third, in some cases 3 or 4 games in a row. It's like a playoff series
right.
without the stakes, but it's still that amount of familiarity. I mean, I think you're going to see the guys really get they're going to get upset easier in the second and third game against the same guys. It's just It's the nature of the beast, right?
Oh, right. I mean, you kind of saw at the end of Vancouver and Montreal how things got a little out of hand with like Tyler Myers and everything.
Hmm.
You know how it can get ugly, and they have their third game tomorrow. Oh, that should be an interesting one indeed. You know,
Yeah, like
so
I think you're gonna see a lot of like, especially because when you face the same team over and over again, it's gonna get testier. The way the longer it goes on, the longer you play the same team in succession, the more it's gonna get ugly. Like, especially if a team's lost. If they're on the third game of three games against the same team and they've lost the first two, like those games are gonna get ugly.
and talk about a guy that we talk about Donato wanting to send a message, maybe back to Minnesota brass. Talk about Tyler Toffoli sending a message to Vancouver GM Jim Benning. 5 goals in the 2 games against Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yikes!
Yikes.
All right, let's see. We have another guest that we're going to try to bring on. Hopefully, he's on the online. Kevin, if you are watching, I'm calling you.
Dun, dun, dun.
Let's see what happens here. Oh, Kevin, are you with us? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Oh, I think we hear him. Oh, that didn't work out too well, did it? The names are mixed up again. Dang it! You take a guess, and next thing you know.
What was the thing about the names are changed, but the stories are real? Like, is that like a law show or something?
Oh, like
like Law and Order.
Yeah, something like that, where it's like the names have been changed, but the stories are the podcasters are real.
That's right. Boy.
So, Ian, it's been a long time.
It has been too long, my friend.
I think we need to stage a coup here
and
take over the show. We're
There's
taking
no
over.
coup. There's
way
no
too
coup.
long.
But Kevin's here to talk about the Barracuda. But before we get to the Barracuda, Kevin, I do want to ask this from Ricky. So I'll throw this to both of you. Do you guys think having Leonard on the third line is good for his development? His skill set doesn't seem to match the role. I thought he really looked good on the hurdle line.
It's so hard for me, like, I'll answer first. Like, I didn't have any real issues with him individually, but like, again, like, I don't know. I didn't think he had a bad game. Maybe he's not being used. I need to see more. Like, I just need to see more. I'm undecided.
All right. And with that, well, before we get to where the hell is the turtleneck?
I almost wore it tonight, and believe it or not, outside of my mock neck thing that I wear when I play hockey, the couple of times I've worn that for skating outside to get some exercise, I have not actually worn a traditional turtleneck since before the pandemic.
What?
So,
no,
yeah.
That's not true. That is not true.
Oh,
you did wear it that one time we did a retro after dark.
That's right.
Yes.
Since the retro after dark with the Penguins game, that's the last time I wore a turtleneck.
And with that, let's chat some Barracuda.
Ooh, Barracuda.
All right, and AJ having fun playing the part of the turtleneck tonight as a beanie.
Well, it was after I messed my hair up with the NWO hat, and I had to put something on. Plus I'm showing unity here with Ian.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely, and with me a little bit with the Barracuda jersey. So let's hear about the Barracuda. They had I almost want to call, since we're doing series now in hockey, a 2-game series. They played Anaheim earlier in the week, or Anaheim's affiliate, excuse me, in Irvine. Let's get all my California geography out of whack here. But today they took on the Ontario Reign. Kevin, tell us about it.
Yeah, they played in El Segundo. Actually, that rink looked pretty nice from the photos that I saw, but I digress. Unfortunately, the Barracuda lost today, 3-2 in shootout, and I do say today because I don't want to owe Randy Hahn a burger or something saying this evening. But yeah, they lost in shootout. Very interesting storyline so far coming out of the Barracuda camp is the emergence of goal-scoring sensation Curtis Gabriel, because we all saw that coming. Maybe that's what the Sharks need to put some offense up, is get Curtis Gabriel in the lineup. But yesterday in the second game against the Gulls, the one that the Barracuda won 4-1. Gabriel scored 32 seconds in, and then today against Ontario, he scored 15 seconds in. So I think he's capitalizing on teams not expecting him to score, because I certainly didn't. So he's capitalizing on some snoozing teams here. But unfortunately, Mr. Quentin Byfield, a certain high draft pick in this past draft of the LA Kings, he did get a goal to tie that game. The Reign took the lead. Jaden Halbgewachs put one on the board. I think I'm going to actually trademark that. Scrabble put one on the board to tie the game. But there's not a whole lot to really talk about in terms of the game. It was supposed to be available on the Sharks audio network, but unfortunately Nick Nolenberger right now is under the weather, and hopefully it's nothing serious.
Oh boy.
But he is being kept away from the team right now as a precaution. Today was supposed to be the first game for the Barracuda on the audio network. So that also kind of plays into, I'd like to get an episode of In the Reef out for everybody here soon. Nick and I have been talking throughout the week really about it, but now with him being under the weather, I don't know if he'll be able to join us, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll have a show for you guys soon. But yeah, Barracuda are 1-1 so far in the preseason.
And of course their schedule came out today. Playing 40 games. They'll be playing through May 18th. And 3 homes. They'll also call Arizona home most likely due to Santa Clara County restrictions. But they're also going to play some at Solar for America ice as well.
Yeah, I thought the Barracuda would actually play more games at Solar for America ice, just given the financial cost that it takes to run these AHL games in NHL arenas. A lot of the AHL teams have been trying to push games over to their practice facilities. Ontario Reign, I know, are one of those teams that I believe they're playing their entire season at their practice facility in El Segundo. I might be mistaken on that, but I thought that was a thing. But yeah, only 6 games at Solar for America, but I guess they can kind of get used to that, since that will be their future home, a different rink, a nicer rink, but it will be their future home here in a couple of years. So yeah, looking forward to that. I thought it was interesting, guys, that they start the season with a 3-game set against Tucson as the home team playing in Tucson. And then after 3 games in Texas, they go back to Tucson for 3 road games against Tucson, and then they don't play Tucson the rest of the season. So
2021, everyone.
Yeah. Here's a question from AJ, and this one I don't know about. Haven't restrictions pushed the Stockton Heat to Canada? What's the situation with the AHL and the border? Because of course you have 7 Canadian NHL squads. What's the situation there? Because I heard just ramblings on listening to sports radio up there that there's some scrambles to get goalies some time in other teams' teams.
Yeah, the thing about it, first off, aren't you glad that the Sharks moved the Barracuda or moved the Worcester Sharks to San Jose for that proximity? Because I wonder if the Sharks still had the affiliate in Worcester, if they'd even have a team this year. The Alberta situation for the Stockton Heat is very weird. I've been on record saying that I didn't think the Heat would ever play a game in Stockton ever again, because the Flames have made no secret about trying to get out of there. They're just looking for a new full-time affiliate. The idea of playing these games in Canada or having their affiliate based in Canada is very perplexing to me, given that the AHL announced their schedule today. The Heat are in the Pacific Division, and the border, just like in the NHL, the border is closed between Canada and the U.S. So the Canadian teams are playing in Canada. There was a lot of discussion about having all 28 teams that are playing play in America, but that didn't end up happening. So there is a Canadian division there. And how is Stockton going to play in the Pacific in Canada? So Darren Dreger's tweet was very interesting given the timing.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that there is truth to it, but some bit of info is missing right now with that situation, and I'm curious to see what happens, because obviously it's a fluid situation, guys, in general.
Right.
But I can't imagine that they're going into it expecting that on Monday suddenly, psych, we're changing the schedule all over again because the Heat are now in Canada. Like, something's missing there.
And I would find it really tough to have them house 3 teams in the Saddle Dome, with the Flames, the Heat, and of course the Western Hockey League's Hitmen. I'm not sure government officials would be thrilled to have,
upwards. They don't care.
How dare they? If they had Dr. Bonnie Henry in British Columbia and Alberta, this would be kidding.
I don't know. I think that, I mean, obviously they don't want like a lot of travel, but I think if they need a player, they're just gonna have to quarantine and figure it out. So I don't know. They'll figure it out. They always do. Money talks in these situations.
Yeah.
I'm really curious when it comes to trades, which I was wondering if I would come on here to have a trade to announce, but so far Dubois is still on the Blue Jack.
We would have had it all queued up and everything if that was the case.
But I am curious, just when you're talking about assignments, Ian, like trades as well. Like, are we going to see interdivisional trades because of quarantine?
It's going to be interesting, right? Because I think, obviously there's going to have to be. It's so difficult, right? Because I just feel like it's going to be one of those situations where it's like there's rules for me and you, and then there's rules for these guys. Mm-hmm. And because that's just the way these things work, right? So because the players that are, they're all supposed to be keeping to themselves, like Washington got in trouble because they had too many players hanging out in a room or whatever. So I feel like because of the way that they're handling the players and how they're trying to keep them from, putting themselves in situations where they could get COVID, that maybe they would be able to move a little bit easier with less quarantine time. I have no idea. I'm just spitballing, but I just feel like it's one of those situations where me and you have rules and then there's rules for them.
Yeah, and that's the tough part, is that you want to have something to enjoy, which I think we all agree that, hockey would be a welcome distraction from everything that's been going on in the world, especially with COVID. And just trying to maneuver a way around it. It's just been really tough. So, anything
Speaking
else?
of coronavirus, real quick, guys, I forgot to mention Max Letunov played for the Barracuda today on the third line with Scrabble and Vladislav Kotkov. So he's obviously doing fine now off of the COVID-19 protocol. And I'd be curious to see if he ends up getting a taxi squad spot. I don't think so, but given the fact that the Sharks did recall him last season, I wouldn't doubt at some point if we see Letunov get a call up.
I wonder. Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I feel like Balcers is probably a guy who's going to get that taxi squad spot before anyone else as soon as he's all sorted. I would assume.
I would think so too, but I know that the Balsers has to go back through waivers to make that happen, I believe.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, we'll see.
It'll be interesting to see
Who's
how
going
that
to
works.
arrive first? Sorry, who's going to arrive first? Rudolph Balsers or Coach John Madden?
Right?
Oh, jeez.
I mean, isn't Madden with the team already? He's just not able to be on the bench.
Something like that.
It's
yeah.
something weird and convoluted like that. So, well, guys, earlier we had a donation from Raphael Snit, and we have hit 25 likes. So, guys,
Oh, wow.
it's time.
Have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
It's still wraparound, though. So, let's go through these scores really quickly because I really want to touch on the Pierre-Luc Dubois situation in Columbus and how fun that is. Currently going on right now, Anaheim and Colorado are tied 1-1 late in the second period. Scores from tonight, Capitals beat the Sabres in a shootout 4-3. Sabres now 1-3-1 on the campaign. Pittsburgh in the shootout beats the Rangers 4-3 in that one. Tristan Jarry gets the victory for Pittsburgh. A little more interesting game in Toronto. The Leafs beat the Oilers 4-2. Draisaitl, McDavid get the goals for the Oilers in the loss. Jimmy Vesey actually gets his second goal of the season there. In Detroit, Larkin is the only goal scorer as they lose 4-1 to Chicago. Patrick Kane with a goal in this one. Let's continue on. You have the Sharks and the Wild lose 4-1. In Dallas, lets the hair down and finally gets to play their season opener against the Nashville Predators. They win 7-0. The extra point was kicked by Kiviranta on this one, but Joe Pavelski with a 4-point night, if I'm not mistaken. So, just ow in that one. Just a quick little reminder of Pavs doing what Pavs does best in this one. So, the Stars beat the Predators 7-0, and some problems in Nashville, even though they're 2-0, 2-2 in that one. And a final that just went final. The Arizona Coyotes hand the Vegas Golden Knights their first loss of the season. They beat the Las Vegas Knights 5-2. In this one, Shea Theodore, Cody Glass, the only goal scorers for the Knights, as Dvorak, Brassard, Schmaltz, Garland, and Osterley get it done for the Desert Dogs. So that's your scores. But guys, now I want to bring up to what was essentially the elephant in the room last night, and I think we would probably be talking about it all night last night about this. The Columbus Blue Jackets, John Tortorella and Pierre-Luc Dubois. I mean, everything that happened with with the second and third periods, just Dubois sitting on the bench the whole time, but then you see the isolation of Dubois' last shift, and I can kind of see.
I've skated harder shifts in beer league.
I have
I've
too.
skated harder shifts outside when I was talking about wearing the turtleneck earlier.
That's amazing. I was funny because I think there's like, obviously I have like a lot of Leaf friends, and they're like, this is what people think William Nylander does every shift.
Oh, jeez. But I'll start with you, Ian, to see that, and to see how Torts has kind of basically put his general manager into a corner and say, okay, I'm not going to play him. I know you want to take your time so you can get the best deal out of it, but at this point, I'll scratch him.
It's a tough situation. I mean, Tortorella is a hard coach to play for. I mean, this isn't new. We know this. This has been something that we've heard time and time again.
Right.
That Tortorella is an incredibly hard coach to play for. It's a frustrating situation. Like, I can kind of see like Pierre-Luc Dubois' thing too, because it's really hard, right? Like, I'm not saying abolish the draft, because if you abolish the draft, the rich get richer, the poor stay poor.
Right.
But you end up, because of the way rights work and how long teams maintain you get stuck somewhere, you get drafted somewhere, and it doesn't work out, and you're stuck there for a decade before you can leave on your own without getting traded. It's so I can understand frustration from both sides. I mean it's unfortunate. I think it's really unfortunate for Columbus, because I think Pierre-Luc Dubois is legit. Yeah, okay, that wasn't an amazing shift of NHL hockey, but that kid's legit, and whoever gets him is going to be a lot better for it. But yeah, I mean, it's a crappy situation when things break down like that, especially when you're young and you have no say because the team owns your rights.
Well, didn't Pierre-Luc Dubois get benched in the last game as well? Wasn't there a controversy about him only having a couple of shifts in the third, and the media was asking Tortorella about, are you doing anything? And then Tortorella just tried to brush it off I'm just coaching the game. And then and now this happened too.
Yeah, to me, I just, you coach your game and everything, and I don't know, you one of your best centers for 4 minutes. It's that's tough to do, and then you see that shift. And
it wasn't just that shift. NHL Network showed all 5 of his shifts, or 4 shifts, or whatever it was, and they were all like that.
Yeah. I mean, who? I'm sorry, pardon my French, but
if I'm Torts and that's the effort I'm getting, I'm gonna bench the guy too.
Yeah,
even though it's probably it's a weird situation, right? Because in almost any other situation, it's the coach that goes. It's always the coach that goes. You can fire the coach.
Yeah.
Can't fire the player. You can fire the coach. But I mean, Jarmo Kekalainen, man, the dude has stones. I'll give him that. I will give him that, because he has to get a good deal here, because if he doesn't, this team's in a lot of trouble if he doesn't get a good deal for him. But I give him credit to have the stones to do it, because it's a lot easier to fire the coach.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And the same thing happened when the Jackets traded Rick Nash. It's you gotta get something really good for him. But honestly, if this guy is gonna come in, and honestly, I know some people would call Erik Karlsson a diva, but to kind of pull that move just because you're not getting your way, and pardon my French, who the fuck do you think you are as a 22-year-old?
I don't know. You know what though? Again, you'd like to see him handle it better for sure.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I don't know, man. I have seen this kid play hockey a long time. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt in a new setting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just 2 days ago, I can't remember who I was talking with, but they said, where do I think Dubois will go? And I said, I think he goes to Winnipeg. I think we see a line for Dubois, and there's going to be parts involved. But I see that kind of a move happening. But now, when you get that kind of an effort, he's not helping Columbus's cause for trading him here.
Not. But I still think, if I'm an NHL GM, I'm not looking at that and being like, oh, I'm not taking this guy.
No,
I think things have to go. It takes a while for things to get to that point. It's not like this has been his entire Columbus. You know what I mean? Obviously something has come to a head here. There's obviously, I'm not defending Pierre-Luc Dubois. I'm just saying that if I'm a GM, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, instead of a first, you're only going to get a second now because those shifts suck.
Sure, right.
It's Pierre-Luc Dubois. I will happily take Pierre-Luc Dubois off your hands for whatever. I mean, someone in the chat said, would you do Pierre-Luc Dubois for Couture? Yeah. In a fucking heartbeat.
No.
31.
No. Now, let me ask you this, guys. Let's just play theoretical here. Doug Wilson has pulled a rabbit out of his butt. There's been talk that it could involve LA or Anaheim for Dubois.
That makes me cry. Now, LA doesn't need anyone more centers.
Oh, sure. Of course not. My thing is that we've seen this before with Doug. In 2007, he hears Anaheim's going to offer up a bunch to get Bill Guerin. Doug Wilson swoops him up, and it comes out bad. The same thing was said with Erik Karlsson. I mean, how much time did we hear? Oh, Erik Karlsson's a lock. He's going to head to Vegas. He's going to head to Vegas. Could DW sweep it under and get him out of nowhere? I'm not going to compare the kid to Joe Thornton, but I mean, we didn't see that one coming. But obviously, a roster spot's got to go.
Anything's possible, but I think the return that Columbus is going to ask for, like, I don't think it would be. It's not be like a. It's not going to be like, oh yeah, we'll give you Couture 1-for-1. Like, you're giving up probably Hurdle plus. Probably plus.
Yeah, I mean you're,
and I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean
if the Sharks can pull it out, I think it would be LeBanc and then a lot else. But I think realistically it doesn't happen because the Sharks would have to put Hurdle in.
Yeah, like it like if I'm Kekalainen and I want Hurdle, like the conversation starts with Hurdle.
But for Puck Guy's question about if the Sharks somehow pull it off, you'd see like LeBanc. Hurdle wouldn't go. That's the somehow wouldn't pull it off. But I think LeBanc would be part of that.
Yeah, I if you're able to do a pick and LeBanc over to Columbus for him, I could see that, and it would probably
you're getting plus. Like you're sending
right.
Merkley. You're sending LeBanc, you are sending. If you're sending LeBanc plus, it's going to be LeBanc. It's going to be Merkley. It's going to be there's going to be a price to pay if you're not moving someone else off the roster. There's going to be a significant price to pay.
I would do that.
Oh, probably I would too, to be honest. But I don't know. I just like. Never say never, but I can't see the Sharks being like I don't know. I don't know. It makes like the Sharks are in such a weird place right now. I don't know what this team is.
Yeah, and the tough
that's
part,
the problem.
And the tough part is also you also have the modified no trades. I mean, Hurdle has a modified no trade. He has a 3-team list, so most likely that's L.A., Anaheim, Vegas. That's going to happen. Evander Kane has a 3-team list that he can be traded to as well.
Yeah, exactly. Kane's not going to Columbus.
You mean good luck trying to find someone on the list that says Columbus. I can't see it happening. But just a thought, of armchair GM on that one, because I thought, man, oh man, this is going to heat up, and last thing you want is like LA or Anaheim to grab him and be in division. I mean, knowing our luck, and somehow magically, Vegas gets him out of nowhere.
They don't have the cap space.
No, they don't have the cap space, but I mean, it's like everybody just gets to go to Vegas, it seems like. So
yeah, I don't think Vegas, Vegas, I'm not worried about Vegas, but LA or Anaheim, like that's problematic going forward, because both of those teams are coming up sooner than later, and I think LA is going to come up really quick. Like LA is going to surprise a lot of teams in the next, maybe even just as few as 2 years. Very quickly for sure. Satan chiming in, Sharks better not trade any more first round picks for a couple of years. Completely agree. AJ saying the only way DW trades for Dubois is if he wins a Norris Trophy. So
sure that wasn't Shatan.
That's right. It could be Miro Shatan. My bad.
No, he's Satan. I have a deal with the devil.
He loves Ian, so absolutely. Again, can't see it happening.
I can't see it. Like because the big problem is I don't know what this team is. I don't know what it's supposed to be. Like under current construction, I have no idea what this team is. None. And that makes it very hard to be like, well, this move makes sense because I don't know what this team's supposed to be.
And that's the scary thing. We're at the point in the NHL where the bad teams, unless you're Detroit last season, the bad teams aren't bad teams. They're just indecisive teams.
Right.
And nobody can afford to be that way anymore. And that's what the Sharks are, unfortunately, right now. They're not a bad team. They're not as good as a lot of the other teams, and they need to figure out whether they can be or not. Because luckily we don't get paid to figure out those decisions.
True enough.
Seriously. So that, I think, will do it for us. In case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube. Subscribe to it. Hey, subscribe to our SoundCloud. Of course, you can catch us on Spotify, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio, and always available at tealtownusa.com. So with that, we'll bring a close to it. Our next game will be Sunday against Minnesota. It is a Pucknologist takeover, as it's the only Sunday game on the schedule this year.
Wow.
Yeah, go figure. So the Pucknologist crew of AJ, Jerk, and Rocket, I would assume, will all be a part of that. Indeed, they'll have breakdown everything, including NBCSN getting shut down. just when you thought, the NHL is going to get a really big TV deal, they would have competition for it and everything, and then the reports come out that NBCSN is going to shut down by the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, another victim, right? Like, it's just another victim of the things that are going on. Like, summer hockey was not a ratings hit at all. Like, it did really bad on. It didn't do good. It wasn't like, I don't think it was completely abysmal, but it wasn't good. For as far as numbers go, I thought the hockey was fine. Just the viewership, the advertising dollars, the Olympics getting pushed hurt things for them. I mean, it looks like for something. It's probably good we talked about this for a second, because a lot of people are like, oh, what does that mean for the Sharks? And it's like, it has nothing to do with the regional sports networks. They're fine. It just sounds like things are going to go to USA, and obviously they're leveraging their streaming platform, their streaming platform Peacock. So I think you're going to see
Peacock. We're screaming at you.
Their streaming platform. That's our show.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is a concern because, I think a lot of people were hoping for that hockey-related revenue from the TV deal, and having it be a multiple TV deal with whether it's going to be NBC with ESPN or with Fox, and it's a tough one, because it's like, now what happens? I mean, you don't have a competition for it.
It depends on what their plan is, right? Because I mean, I think a lot of their shift right now is to shift a lot of stuff to the USA network, which is already in a lot of homes. So I mean, if it's something to try and build that network up a little bit, like, it'll be interesting to see how it works out. Personally, I think a lot of this is going to get shifted to their streaming platform, because that's just the way things are going. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And if it's if it's NBC and USA with Peacock, or ESPN with ESPN Plus, or
who knows? I mean, Fox might make a play for it.
Yeah, and
we don't know.
There's talk that Fox was going to go in it, but I mean, you're going to more TVs. I mean, in Davalos, thank you. NBC is still going to bid. They're likely going to revamp USA Network,
right,
which is in 86 million homes, as opposed to NBCSN was 80.
Right, and that's the thing, right? Like, we don't know what NBC's restructuring is going to look like, so it'll be interesting to see if they try to use it to try and leverage up USA Network, or again, and or to boost up their streaming service, or a combination of the two. It's too early to tell.
Yeah, and for that matter, I mean, I think I posted in the DMs today, guys. USA Network actually had the rights to the NHL games in the early and mid 80s, before they went to ESPN for a couple of stints, and then Sports Channel America for like a year or two. So it's not normal. I mean, it's not, not unique that it would go to USA. I kind of look at it as like how the NBA has TNT in their cable deal. So
that's really where they're going with it, I think, because NBC is Universal. NBC Universal has been looking to revamp USA for years and years, and at the same time, Turner was looking to revamp TNT for the longest time. And I think TNT is kind of been on the uprise the last about 2 years, and I think NBC's looking at, okay, if they can do that, it's our turn now. So
Yeah.
I think that's part of it.
Yeah, and I know AJ's been throwing this around, the Canada Sports on the USA Network. What a tagline! It would be nice if they could just borrow, like, Duthie and Drager and coerce
It'll be
Bob
interesting
McKenzie
because
over.
the U.S. national games on Wednesday night, and USA already airs wrestling on Wednesday night. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there.
Yeah, and that's gonna be interesting. How that will work out, and for that matter, if they do like multiple spots, which I think they were, I mean, you could see Wednesday Night Hockey still being on USA, or maybe having it go over to like ESPN or Fox. All I hope is that I hope for more games, more coverage of the league, and more importantly, more HRR that's desperately needed. So. That'll bring a close to it. Kevin, thanks for joining us. Thanks for filling us in on the CUDA. Hopefully there's an end to reef coming, but understand if Nick Nolenberger's not feeling great. But your final thoughts and where the people can find you.
You can find me at Kevin Lacey 22 on most social media platforms, and hopefully on In the Reef very soon. The Barracuda are back in action on Wednesday against Tucson at the TCC. So they after 3 games in 4 nights, the Barracuda have a little bit of a break and see where they're at. Just I'll be tweeting about it, guys.
We look forward to it, and we look forward to having a little more coverage for you on the Barracuda, indeed. So thank you, Kevin. Ian, up in the Great White North, it is great to see you again as always. Your final thoughts and where the people can find you.
Final thoughts. I mean, I don't know. I pretty much covered everything there is to say. Better team won tonight. That's all there is to it. The team who played better won. It is the way it is. You can find me at Ian Blogs Hockey on the Twitter machine, where I'm trying to be a little more active now that the season's underway and we got things going on again, and I'm hoping to be on here as much as I can.
We appreciate it, and we hope that both of you are indeed as key pieces to this team. I appreciate you both. I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. It's a Pucknologist takeover on Sunday night following the Sharks and Wild. So be on the lookout for that. The game is at, correct me if I'm wrong, is it still 5 o'clock, boys?
I haven't even looked.
That's the thing, is that we're so used to not looking and seeing what's going on, and of course my app's not working.
Like the Barracuda game today at 3 o'clock. I thought it was at 6. Oops.
There was actually, for the guys, just a little behind the scenes. I was supposed to be on a show sooner than this,
Yes.
But I looked at my phone. I was at work. I look at my phone and there's notifications from the game, and I'm like, oh no.
No.
I was supposed to be on sooner, and I was like, oh no. And because I thought the game was later. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get home, watch the game, get on the show. It's going to be fantastic. No, the game was over before I left work.
It happens.
You can say that the game is on at 7 p.m. in some time zone.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So Sharks and Wild go at it again on Sunday at 5 p.m. So in the middle of a conference championship game of football, there will be hockey. So Jessica is saying, long live the turtleneck. Thanks, Ian and Kevin. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Oh, there we go. Nice job tonight, Puck Guy. Yeah, no AOL. Woohoo! So Shatan wants to show us his tattoo on Discord.
Satan. I need you to understand that it's Satan, and he is my biggest follower.
Okay, so Satan wants to show off his Jesus tattoo on Discord. If you want to head over to the Discord, we'll have some fun over there. Do that. We'll be back with you Sunday night with the Pucknologist takeover on After Dark. And until then, I am at PuckGuy14. Keep it real. Keep it teal. Keep it real, teal. Have a great night, everyone. We will see you Sunday night.